abuse,
privilege,
yeah,
all of the things.
Great, and you know, I've had conversations about this. Natalie's story got the coverage because it was pretty missing white girl. You know, pretty
blonde hair, blue eyes,
pretty missing white girl syndrome.
Perfect phenotype for people to care. It's like a delicate looking victim.
And I'm not saying her story didn't deserve the attention, but there's so many stories of beautiful
hundreds of thousands of women that go missing
black
every year.
men that are just not covered by the media.
People of color.
Right. Like we, in the media, we have a tendency to highlight, and I've been in meetings like this. This is why the business doesn't like me. I'll say, guys, you know, we highlight women stories of women killers like Jodi Arias, Casey Anthony, you know, all these, but over victims of color, you know, like Yolanda Holmes, or you know, so like let's switch the narrative, and that becomes a very unpopular opinion as a white television producer.
I think it's very lazy to say, "Oh my God, that's racist," but what's the fucking reason why the networks aren't looking into?
I'll tell you why. It's very honest. There was a narrative that we would be in these board meetings, and they said, white people don't care about black on black crime or black murders. So I let it slide. And one day I said, where's the stats? Can somebody show me the numbers? Where's the stats? Where's the numbers? There was no numbers. That was a false narrative created out of historic and systemic racism, right? People assumed that people that look like me wouldn't care about people that look like you that were murdered. Does that make sense? So I was like, I called it out, and I became incredibly unpopular.
I know that caused you some problems with work and finding work and being ostracized for years, being like, wait. And Steph is Canadian, by the way, y'all. I don't know if that, you know, he's
Canadian.
He's a Canadian white.
But let me just finish with this. As a television producer, I was looking at incredibly interesting stories of murder of people of color. I didn't care if you were black, Asian, brown, whatever, Hispanic. I'm like, this is a really interesting and compelling
people need to know
story,
about
right?
this.
But then I got roadblocked by the network, like, but they're not white. But so, right? Like I'm telling tales.
Yeah, the powers that be are saying these stories are not as important because they're not going to get interest. But one thing I find is if you build it, they will come. If you show the people these particular stories, they start to feel empathetic. So I feel like the networks and the powers that be do have a special interest at certain people being humanized and certain people being discarded like trash.
But people like you and I think your followers, I hate to use that word followers because it feels like a cult, but
people that support my supporters.
But they change the narrative. TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, you guys changed the narrative because those stories mattered to you, and all of a sudden there was millions of hits on stuff like that. I'm segueing into Ramika. Like, so now there was stories of women of color victims or men of color victims, not men of color perpetrators or women of color perpetrators, because it was always boogeyman, black guy did this, right? Easy narrative.
100%. It's easy to make the black guy look like the black on black crime when wasn't that like a Reagan term? Because like white on white crime is a thing. Y'all kill each other. We kill each other. The Asians kill each other. We typically are going to harm the people that are in our
but the media only cared about white on white crimes, right? Like you're on
and they cared about demonizing
Scott Peterson.
If you're a part of the fucking media and you're perpetuating that stereotype, then you're more dangerous than any enemy, than any knife or gun out there. Because we are the ones with the microphones. And if you are a part of the media and you know for a fact that the statistics show people are going to harm the people that are near them, meaning white folks are killing white folks, black folks are over there doing their thing, the Asians and Hispanics and everybody else. If you're a part of making and I do have a bias because I'm a black person. If you're a person that's making the black guy, like Steph said, looking like the big bad boogeyman just for clicks and views, you are just as despicable as the network heads that are doing it for money. Like you literally are.
One thing I'd like to tell everybody that's watching is where you and I bonded is you were always in the area of family dynamics, right? Mm-hmm. Right, trauma, blended and black, and I would deal with family dynamics which would lead to murder. That's where we really bond. I don't care what color you are, but I liked to tell compelling stories so people could be like, how did that happen? And how can let's have a conversation around it to avoid that kind of trauma. Ramika, this is all leading into where we want to land.